Hello. Today I would like to make another piece for the Junkyard diorama. I have this Matchbox working rigs, International Workstar 7500 heavy duty dump truck. It looks fantastic the way it is. Unfortunately, it's just too modern for the Junkyard. Everything that I have is from the 60s, 70s, 50s. We might work into the 80s later, but I like the 60s and 70s and older. So I'm gonna take this cab off and turn it into a Ford instead. I have this 1956 Ford F100 from Matchbox. I've used this cab for another build not that long ago. I used that same cab for one of my favorite tow trucks, and that's the first tow truck that I made for the diorama. My intentions are to have a whole fleet of Ford tow trucks. Right now most of the tow trucks are Dodges. I have this 1957 Dodge that I made right here on the channel, and the back half is another Working Rigs Casting International. And I have this crew cab Dodge that's also made out of a Matchbox Working Rigs. I like the Dodge tow trucks, but I want a few more Ford vehicles for the yard. I think a Ford dump truck would be great for the yard from the 50s. If you look around the diorama, you can see most of my vehicles are older. I just don't think the modern dump truck will look right. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll mate these two together and make a brand new custom, or a brand new old custom. Okay, I got both castings drilled out. Go ahead and take the Ford apart first. One thing I like about this casting is the grill is a totally separate piece. It's one of the only castings I can think of that I opened up, and it has a loose piece like that that's not attached to the interior. It's really nice because you can just take it out and paint it and not have to use a razor knife or anything. Alright, we'll just put these pieces aside for now. Go ahead and drill the mounting post on the International. Probably save those wheels if we can. I'm going to move gas tanks and toolbox out of the way for now. The exhaust pipe also fell off. I want to save that. And we'll pull the interior section, and the grill came out. Interior section came out. This is only a 2-seater. The last one I opened up like this had 3 seats. The window glass. Okay, we're down to just a shell pretty much. I didn't drill the final mounting post there because last time I worked on one of these I didn't have to either, so hopefully I don't need to on this one. Just makes it a little bit easier, and it holds together a lot better when you're done, at least with one factory post. Next thing I want to do is cut off the cab, probably just right there with a Dremel tool. I'll do that next. All these pieces in a container so I don't lose anything. Since it's a beautiful November day, I decided to make this cut outside. So let's get started. I almost forgot my safety glasses. Gotta have those. And we'll cut the Ford. Alright, here's the truck cab that we will no longer need. Not for this build anyway. I'll put these, I might take the front bumper off of this, so I don't want to totally write it off. If there's a way to use this front bumper with this truck here, we might. I don't know. It looks really small now compared to this 56. But that's a possibility, so I'm going to hold on to that and put those aside. Even if I don't use the grill, I'll put it back in here and this will become a piece of scrap in the junkyard. We have the bed. Won't be needing that. That will go in the junkyard. Now let's see where we're at on fitting this. Alright, and we're way off. I had the same problem last time. The wheels, I'm going to have to cut the frame and move the wheels forward. Last time I took a sander and I made the wheel wells bigger. I'm not going to have that option here. And the cab's not going to go back any further, so the wheels are going to have to come forward. Definitely. I'll make a cut here. I'm going to study on it first and see if I should leave some of it, but we'll chop this off and probably try to use the front half of this chassis. I'm thinking maybe. I don't know. I want to use the factory wheels, and the factory wheels fit in this little cavity real nice. So I think I'm just going to cut this and try to extend it some way, because the wheel wells are really big. I shouldn't have to sand anything. I'm just going to have to move that forward. Just viewing it from this standpoint, I'm going to have to trim this mounting post. Even if everything lined up, it's still way too high. So the mounting post is going to have to come down. Or I drilled a hole out in the bottom here from the mounting post and make it large enough for this to slide through there. And then that would slide down where I want it. If I line these up together, it looks like the wheel is probably in the right spot. So yeah, I think I'm going to just make this hole bigger for now and keep that mounting post because it might help hold the whole piece together. So yeah, I'm going to drill this out instead. Yeah, that fits perfectly now. I just made the hole a little larger. The wheels would line up. We just got to extend the frame because this hits when it comes down. After examining it, I think I'm going to cut it back here to extend the frame because this metal piece fits over the frame. If I cut it there, I think I can move it forward and use this area to glue it together and stuff. Yeah, the more I study on it, I'm going to cut it in this area somewhere so I can extend the frame. We'll do that next. Alright, after taking my razor knife and trimming some of this area here, everything fits together good now. Put this back on. After trimming that, I can slide this back and forth anywhere along that chassis I want. And I'm going to fuse it together, probably about like that. But we have one other problem. When you move it back and forth, this little thing here that controls the bed wants to fall in that little hole and where I made the gap. So I'll have to do something to bridge that gap on the inside so this little shock absorber glides over there without getting stuck. So I'll have to figure that out next. See, once it comes through there, it gets hung up. Now that that's not one solid piece, but I'm pretty sure it's solvable. I just need to put something in this center area that bridges the gap. Maybe even a piece of poster board. I'll go cut something to fit in there and glue it down next. Alright, I'll let that dry. I'll glue it down on both sides. It should save the hydraulic lift from getting hung up when we move the bed up and down. While I'm waiting for glue to dry, I'm going to go ahead and trim the back of this bed area off. That's plastic. We're not going to need that. Okay, that's gone. And we might use this interior if everything fits together. We'll find out soon. Alright, without any Further modifications. This is just putting the interior in. There's a lot of slop in the wheels. I'd have to fix that if I go this route. And I still don't know what it looks like put together. I'm going to put it together. I'm waiting for glue to dry back here. As soon as that area is dry, we can put the two pieces together. It would be great if I could fit this together like this. It fits perfectly, the cab, interior, and the chassis. We just have a bunch of slop in the wheels. So that's the only thing to address right now will be the slop in the wheels. We'll see. You know, even though there's slop in the wheels, once you put it on the table, it rolls fine. That slop in the wheels doesn't seem to be affecting it at all. Gives you some articulation. Maybe we'll leave it like that. That would be kind of neat. Okay, let's do a test fit. You can see the poster board piece is going to slide in here over that. And then I'll just glue the chassis right there. This hydraulic ram should operate now. Everything's good, but I forgot there was a chrome gas tank and stuff we might try to use. I don't want to lose those if we don't have to, so let's see how it fits with that. Right, that changes it a little bit, but I don't know if it's enough to affect anything. As long as the wheel still rolls. I may have to do some adjustments, but I think we can still make it work because the wheel's rolling. Well, if I can get all the pieces to cooperate, this is how it's going to look. So I've still got some details to work out, but we're moving along the right track. The cardboard insert that we put in there is doing the trick. It doesn't get hung up anymore. I'm going to go ahead and investigate on attaching the toolbox and gas tank next. I'm still not sure if I'm going to attach these the traditional way like they were in the factory or try something else. It's kind of hard to judge because everything keeps moving around. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this section right in this area. I'm going to glue that in here permanently. Then I should be able to judge what I'm going to do next much better, since pieces won't be moving around. I'm going to apply some glue on both sides. Right about there. I'm going to put a clamp on it and let it dry, and then we'll come back when it's ready. Alright, everything fits together nice. I think I can put the toolbox and gas tank right back in the original spot where it belongs, it appears. When I put the interior on here, it's not sitting flat. So I need to trim this little ledge off the bottom that's sticking up, this rib right here. I'm going to carve that out, and that should let it seat more squarely. I'm going to do that next. I'm having similar issues with parts moving around, so I'm going to go ahead and glue the gas tanks and toolbox down permanently. I took a file and removed some of this chrome on the inside where the glue is going to bond. And that usually helps chrome stick better when you get rid of that chrome finish. It should bond together much better without that chrome. Now I'll just press this into place, let that dry. And each step, each piece that I glue down is making it a little bit stronger. This is the original suspension area from the International. If I cut this out, it should hold the wheels in place like it's supposed to. So I'm going to remove this and see if I can incorporate it into the build. I'm going to do that next. Alright, those wheels just drop in there. And if I can get this piece to sit on top, they won't move around at all. They'll sit like they're supposed to. Yeah, just like that. If I can get those to sit like that and still fit the cab on there, oh yeah, that's gonna work. That's the ticket. That's gonna work. I'm going to put that on there, and that's going to put the wheels where I wanted them. Just got to glue that piece down. Still moving around. Why is it still moving around? I guess because it's not glued in yet. Yeah, once I glue that in, that's going to be perfect. And it fits underneath there. Ideal. There we go. Problem solved. Put some glue on this and drop it into place. Alright, that should hold our wheels down. Alright, I glued that piece down. We'll let it dry. And we're almost ready to paint. Just taking a look at this grill. It fits right over the mounting post. And the bumper don't look too bad on here. If we had some kind of headlights, I'm almost tempted to use that. Except it wouldn't look like a Ford. Still got a Ford from the side, but boy, that's very possible. I don't know. If we had some kind of headlights, we definitely might use the bumper. I'm not sure, but it don't look bad with that bumper. Interesting. Just an option. I can't say for sure if I'm going to do this, but that almost fills up the space. Almost, not quite, but it would be interesting. Be something different. Okay, now we need to cut this front section off of the 56 Ford because it's no longer needed and it's in the way. So let's remove that. Alright, now we can put it together. Alright, after a little bit more trimming underneath, that's it. There's nothing else left to trim. The only thing left to figure out is the grill and bumper situation. And the major modifications will be done after that. Alright, even if I trim the back of this so it fits on here, it will have a nice looking grill and stuff, but we will need a bumper. I'm probably going to go this route because I like the look of the 56. So I'm going to go ahead and trim the back side of this off, see how that fits, and then we'll try to find a bumper next. Which it might be this bumper, who knows. I'll see what I have available. Since I haven't trimmed those pieces off yet, I'm going to go ahead and paint the grill white while I still have something to hold it. I do like this bumper, so I'm going to try to cut it right above that orange line. Alright, I got the bumper loose. Alright, for some reason the orange paint started to chip off. We might have to cut that whole piece off, but if I can use it, it would be neat to have a light in the grill. Next step is going to be to paint the vehicle white. I have some decals that should look good with it. Alright, I painted the chassis black. We'll let these pieces dry, and then we'll do the weathering when everything has the appropriate amount of coats. I almost have all the necessary coats of white on the cab and dump bed, but they're still going to take a few more. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the interior red while I'm waiting on that white to dry. And this will also take several coats. Okay, the paint is dry enough to move on to the next step. And what I want to do next is add a logo on the door. I have these HO scale dry rub stencils. And I like the red Frisco sign, and I got a few to choose from. I think I'm going to put the largest one right here on the door. I could go with this middle size one. But it's actually, I think it'd be easier to put the big one so I can make sure it's more square. Every time I do one smaller, it's hard to get it centered in a door. Just for the sake of hopefully making it more accurate, I'm going to go with the large one. I'm going to do that next. I'm going to use this stylus to rub it on with. I think that's it. Now, close. Very close. Alright, that's the best I'm going to get it, and it looks pretty good. Alright, if I can get this one on as good as the other one, I'll be impressed. Yeah, I'm going to cut the stencil. Try it again. There we have it. Alright, we got the two signs on the doors. And I think I did it pretty well. I might want to add one of these stickers to the back of the dump bed. Alright, I'm going to put one on the back of the tailgate of the dump bed, right about there. Okay, I don't think I did as good on the tailgate as I did the doors, but I tried. Alright, I'm going to add one of those dangerous signs on the back tailgate. There we go. That looks pretty good. Add one more little random sticker here. I can't really tell what it says, it's so small. But there it is. Alright, I placed it together. We're ready to go ahead and start weathering it a little bit. I don't want to go crazy with it, but it should have a little bit of rust and dirt on it, since it's going to be sitting in the junkyard. I do want it to look like it's still in service though, so I don't want it to go overboard. Alright, the next step's going to be to paint the inside of the bed, but I'm going to take this off because I don't want to get paint on that. So just to avoid that from happening, we'll remove it. Our next step is going to be to paint the inside of the dump bed, complete thing, with chestnut. Alright, we'll let that dry. I got 2 coats of chestnut inside the dump bed. I'm going to go ahead and make it look a little more rustier, add some accent color. And I'm going to start putting a little bit of rust and dirt on the body as well. Take the cab back off for now. This is watered down chestnut. Same color that's inside, it's just a watered down version. I want to go around the corners with this, edges. Add some color contrast. On the outside, we're going to need some rust around the edges. I don't want to get too crazy with it because I still want it to look like it's a usable vehicle. Alright, I'll go around and do the other side the same way. And this top edge should be pretty rusty. Alright, now let's add some to the cab. Alright, I'm going to let that dry. Now I want to switch to the darker version of the rust, and that's burnt umber, watered down. And I want to go over these same areas probably and just darken them up a little bit. Alright, now I need to do the same thing, spend a little time darkening up the areas on the dump bed. I'm going to do that next. Alright, I'm almost finished with the weathering. I just want to add some little fine dots, especially in the bed and a little bit around the edges. Alright, went around the vehicle, put some fine dots with the burnt umber and some of the beige. I think that's enough. I don't want to go too much more. It's going to look like a piece of junk. It's not even suitable for hauling. One other detail that I noticed is there's like a canvas on the top. I'm going to paint that green next, and then when it's dry, we'll do the final assembly. Alright, I'll let that dry and then I'll put on a second coat. I couldn't resist adding some more rust to the front end. I just didn't like how it looked. I really didn't plan on having this much rust on it originally, but I just don't know how to do it any other way that looks right to me. So it's going to have a little bit of rust. I think that's it though. I'm going to let that dry. I'm happy with what I've done. I don't want to go any further. I think that's probably too much rust already, but I'm happy with it. We'll go ahead and do the final assembly. I've said this 100 times. If I realized it was going to look so good, I would have just sprayed it and made it nice. Alright, we'll get the windows in here. And the interior. I'll go ahead and I guess glue this interior into the cab. I don't see no reason why I can't, and I also need to paint that area white, so I'll do that next. Okay, the only thing left to do is put the grill and bumper on, and we'll take it over to the diorama after that. Alright, I just have the bumper sitting there. I'm not sure if I want to use that bumper or not. I'm not in love with it. I'm going to see what else I have available. I'm going to cut this stock bumper off that would actually go to this truck and see how that looks. I decided to go ahead and just use the stock bumper. I put it on a little crooked just to get a little more character. I think I'll put a wash over the grill. I almost forgot we had an exhaust pipe left over. I'm going to go ahead and install that right here, and then we'll be done. Alright, right there. We'll let it dry. Alright, I'll meet you guys over at the junkyard. Well, here it is, entering the yard for the first time. Here it is at the weigh station. Check in. Now, if it could only dump the way it's supposed to. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Well, I guess this sums up our custom working rigs 1956 Ford F100 out of Matchbox. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to really support the channel, hit that hype button if you can. And you could also check out my eBay store. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Well, hello everybody. That was a fun ride, wasn't it?